Hello, welcome to Matthew Horncastles travel vlog episode 4, and on today's episode we are going to be talking about Havana, Cuba, and a few other places in Cuba, but mostly Havana. So about a month ago we stayed there for 5 nights, something like that. Yeah. So if you're in like Miami, if you're in Cancun, anywhere around that area of America, it's really easy to get to Cuba. Like it was probably only a 1 hour flight or something. It was something like a 1 hour flight from Cancun. Yeah, and it was only like $150 or something like that. So super easy to get to once you're in that part of the world, and I assume it's really easy from South America as well to get there. So what is our format? I can't remember. Can you please open your phone? Sorry guys, technical difficulty.
Location.
So we stayed in Havana. Havana is beautiful. Do you want to talk a bit about Havana? The buildings are so beautiful. The like the museums, the big fortresses they have, the streets, the people are super nice. You feel really safe there because it's something like there's 12 million people in the country and 2 million police and 2 million military. So really strong police and military presence. You feel super safe the whole time.
And they rely on tourism so much, there's no way they would screw it up for themselves.
So the trip we did, we just stayed in Havana. I've actually been there about 3 years ago, and I went to
Varadero.
And the other one?
Vinales.
So Varadero, that's like a wee touristy peninsula. It's not my cup of tea because it's just resorts on a beautiful beach, which is cool, but that's not why I travel to the other side of the world. But say the other one?
Vinales.
That's the cigar place, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so say again?
Vinales
is beautiful. There's something about riding a horse through tobacco fields, smoking a cigar. They have the big water buffalo pulling the plows through the paddocks. Beautiful landscapes, an absolute must experience. And there's really beautiful hotels on the hillside when you get to that area. Funny story, I actually had a car crash and got arrested in one of the little towns there, but that's a whole nother 10-minute video that we just don't even have time for today. But the people were super nice. I was just stressful because I couldn't speak any Spanish. So next time of year, we were there in
January. We would have been there for January.
Yeah.
That's their winter, which is still a really variable temperature. I'd say it was about 26 degrees.
Apparently
on
it's
average.
super hot there summer. Yeah, so our tour guide said that it was an absolute must time of year to go. Accommodation's super expensive. We stayed in the National Hotel of Cuba, and it was about 500 New Zealand dollars a night, so 400 US dollars, something like that. And they're pretty basic rooms. Like, it was nice, you feel safe, you've got lots of amenities, you've got gyms and beautiful pools and a beautiful estate of the hotel, and the hotel's magnificent. I think if we went back, they have Airbnb there, and an Airbnb ranges from 15 US dollars a night up to 35 or sometimes even 100. But I think if we went back, we would have stayed at a really nice Airbnb. I think that would have been a better value proposition.
I don't know if really nice Airbnbs do exist in Cuba because they're not owned by the government, they're owned by locals who
but the
don't
houses
have
are
much.
beautiful.
The houses are beautiful, but I mean, certain amenities and infrastructure isn't reliable. It's just nice to be able to rely on a hotel. Like, you can always do your washing, you're always going to have a hot shower, you're always going to have breakfast and cocktails ready for you. I'm sure an Airbnb stay would be great, but because the locals' resources are limited.
Yeah, I think next time I'd stay at a nice Airbnb. Yeah, I think it would be hit and miss if you were staying at like a smaller, cheaper one. But anyway, so next we have activities. Well, one of the really super cool activities we did was, I found it on TripAdvisor. It was like one of the #1 things on TripAdvisor. It was like it was called Havana Tours, and they pick you up in an old car and they take you for like a 5-hour tour, and it was super cool. You got to see all the different areas, and that was $160 for a day trip, two of us and just us exclusively in a car, which was cool. What other activities did you like?
I actually quite enjoyed the Contemporary Art Museum. I can't remember what it was called because it was in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. But once you got to the top floor, it was all the art that was created in the colonial time, or when Cuba was first settled by the Europeans. So that was quite interesting, just learning about Cuba's history.
Now, the other really cool thing, so they have Havana, which is the main city, and then they have Old Havana, which is super beautiful. And then they have the Golden Mile, which is the area where the government has restored all the buildings. Absolutely stunning. If I were to go back, I would definitely stay in that Golden Mile of Old Havana. It's a kind of place where you could just wander around for hours and hours and hours. Tips. You've got to be so organised. They don't have a big reliance on internet. They pretty much don't have internet unless you're in a hotel, and very few people speak English. And if you end up in the wrong place, there's no cabs. So you have to like plan your route like you're a military team.
And there's very limited signage as well. So it's not like you can look at a sign, look at the symbol and be like, oh, well, that's pretty straightforward. I'll go in that direction. If you don't know the area, you don't know where you're going, and you'll just walk in circles like we did for about an hour one day.
About 2. I was getting super stressed because it's hot. So pretty much what you want to do, you want to book, like plan your route well in advance. Wrapping things up, do you have any more tips or final words?
No, I think we
I think it's worth visiting. I reckon if I went back and wanted to plan the perfect trip, I would spend, say, 4 nights in Old Havana, and then I would spend, say, 3 nights in, what's the place? Vinales. And I reckon that would give you like a really cool cross-section of Cuba. There'll be some die-hard travellers grumpy with me because I've missed out. There's probably some other amazing spots. If there are that I've missed, comment them below. We also should have done a salsa class, which we didn't. I really regret that. And riding around in an old car is awesome. And smoking cigars. Rock and roll. Well, see ya on episode 5. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that made you want to go to Cuba.